Welcome to another Wake the Farm Up show. We are live at the lab, November 28th, 2022. Look forward to what we get into here. Wake the farm up! Hi, this is GoSun, and just wanted to welcome you to the show. We have a really exciting lineup today. We have this guy. His name is Andy Stefin. And that's funny because we got our host, Andy, and we have our necromancer of the music and sound, Stefin. And this guy seems on the last episode to claim that he could, is equal to the two of us. It takes two of us to, to make one of him. So two of our show members make one of this guy. We had to have him on the stage and ask him some questions. He's been a long-time fan of the Wake the Farm Up show and been listening since season 1. We're curious, who is this guy? Also today we have special guest Patrick Sherwin. Thanks GoSun for introducing Andy Stefin. I wasn't quite sure how to do that one quite yet, but you did a great job. Thanks GoSun. Yeah, no problem. I think I'm gonna go eat something now. All right, well, just stay where you need to go and eat what you need to eat. It's fine. All right, so our other special guest is Patrick Sherwin of GoSun, the solar oven technology that totally fits into a solar punk future. A solar punk future is a future similar to steampunk future where certain technologies exist and create a certain utopia or dystopia where a certain kind of technology is being utilized and creates a whole ambiance. And people actually do have solar punk festivals or gatherings where they cosplay and they play out a certain kind of future. So it's fascinating to me to explore how this technology can be mixed into permaculture, homesteading, prepping, whether it's Hope's-Day or Doomsday prepping. So I'm excited to hear what he has to share. Patrick and I have known each other for years and have had many paths cross along the way. I working with plants and he working with solar power. So plants are the biggest solar panels out there. They're collecting more sunlight and energy than anything else. So we're going to have some fun conversations. Swell, yeah! Enjoy. Come to our podcast sometime. And if you want to support the podcast, of course, like anything out there, the more funds we have, the more fun we can have. So drop us a link. Let us know how you can support the show. You can find us on Instagram. Drop our hashtag, Maintaining Ground Podcast. Find us at Wake the Farm Up. Keep an eye out. We'll have some merch soon, like some stickers, maybe some t-shirts. If you're an artist that wants to get involved in that, let me know. Give me a direct message. Call me if you know me. If you don't, reach out anyway. It's cool. We're here to wake the farm up and collaborate and build with as many people as we can to create this thing. We are bringing ourselves back closer to nature, and in doing so, we're using technology like this. It may be one of the only things on the internet that is worth listening to and participating with. Hey, and it's real. There's no AI things happening here. This is the real deal. This is people doing what we do when we get together and we talk about real things. And we do it in a way where we're having so much fun that all we can do is do what we do and get activated until we're done. And then we do it again and we plant the seeds that hundreds will do it. Because you give one person a seed and they can grow that like a watermelon and it'll pull out thousands of seeds. So it'll spread. We got people in New Zealand that are listening to this. Shout out to them and all the work they're doing there to make it a greener place, a healthier place, and a place where children 7 generations down the road can be living it up, feeling good.
Okay.
Here we go. This is the real show now.
Y'all ready to wake the farm up?
That's what I'm talking about. Wake the farm up, yo.
We need to check in. Where you at from, Randy? Hey! Our guy in the house.
Wake the farm up. Here we go. Episode 4. And it's time for some new flow.
I'm excited. Let's get into it. Let's welcome the show. Here it is, live as it is.
How much you did do for me?
Nice.
Are you the kind of girl that would get down on her knee? Hold me up a little box with some shiny inside for me. Or are you just another one that wants me on my knees? What? Well, baby, I'm keeping this crown on. Hey, let me know if you wanna be the queen. Yeah, take them pants off now. I wanna see your dripping, sipping sweet little sap. See that syrup coming?
There you go.
Now we know where it's at.
Hey.
Yeah, I like this shit, dude. Oh shit, I did record that. We got an amazing show here tonight. We got like some interesting like drumming actioning happening here. It's kind of like building up some of the drama. And we got all kinds of good things happening here. And we got some like strange like electric lightning bolts like shooting around this room right now. Yep. So on tonight's show, we got some pretty fun guests. We got this one challenge that like came back forth from the last episode, where we got this guy back here that's playing his drum right now. Thinks that his name's Andy Stefin, which is literally what it says on his freaking driver's license. Believe me, I checked. But we, like, Stefan and I just couldn't believe this, so we wanted to be able to welcome him to the mic tonight. He's got 2 minutes ready for this. We might have to keep a tight leash on these drums here a little bit too. And can we come up with like a code word for like cut it? Because he'll just be like over there grooving out like, yeah, they really like it. They really like it. Look at them. They're making funny faces at me.
You got an introduction to do first, a story to tell?
Oh yeah, there's some stuff here. You can sit back there. Like I'll give you like what's the cue for like going?
Right
Yeah,
now.
lightning
Right
bolts.
now. I'll say lightning bolts.
Yeah. So the people are here live on this show here. There are on the tables some American hazelnuts in the jars, and there's some little pliers there that you can crack them with. I have found that, you know, a good amount of them are actually empty. You know, this is kind of a bummer, but when you find one, it's fun to try. Those are the ones that I've had from last year, and I'm just starting to dry the new ones this year now. And so those are back there, and there's also the goomy berries. The goomy berries they've been frozen, so they're soft now. They've been like sitting on a little tray here for a little bit. But you can try them, they're really good. They're a nitrogen fixing bush that produces these berries. They can grow in pretty much any kind of soil. I like to call them kind of like a coyote of plants, you know, how they can go into so many different ecosystems and exist and thrive and produce fruit, which is good too. And they're also building soil for future forests to come after them, after their time's done, working the soil and building that nitrogen up in the soil, feeding other plants around them, nut trees. They tolerate shade too, like just like a coyote would, right? Coyote will go deep in the forest, the coyote will go deep out in the field. Not worried about the hawks coming down and cracking them into little pieces or nothing unless they're pups. So they're one of their relatives there. The goomy is from Asia, from China, Korea, Japan, and so a lot of their relatives that have become more aggressive than the Goomies are at replicating themselves from seeds such as autumn olives, which are great. The Goomy berries come in summer, and you can probably guess when the autumn olives come, right? Yeah.
In the autumn.
Yeah, goji.
We're talking about gomi berries.
Yeah. So,
we weren't talking about goji.
We just heard goji coming out over here from our other special guest tonight. We have Patrick Sherwin. It's gonna be a Sherwin of a show here for sure. GoSun. I say that often. You know, you guys, I have a son, so I'm always like, I think of, you know, even like just, you know, just I'd be like, go son! It's a great motto. I like having that kind of concept around. And it's a brilliant business. I've watched them build it up out of like some strange tubes in the forests in the mountains down in Appalachia to like a whole big business that's had amazing like Kickstarter campaigns and all kinds of things that have them doing amazing work around the world. Places where people were cooking with cow dung inside their houses can now cook with solar sun power, and there's no fuel going into it other than the sunlight. You know, much like leaves. So, looking forward to the show tonight. How is everybody feeling? Yeah? Feeling good? Having a good time? You guys had a fun day? Yeah. Life's not always fair. I know we don't want to like go too deep into why it's not always fair when we're all out, you know, just trying to have a good time. But it's just something that's gotta be. So, you know, it's just life's just not always fair, and it's like you go through some hardships and you grow from it, you know, that as you're going through the hardships that you're growing from it, and you know that after you're through the hardships, you know you're here in the land of the living, and there's going to be probably more hardships. Yeah, we can handle it. We can have a good time while we carry our burdens, set them on the ground for a bit, relaxing, and you know, just talking about our hearts and our places in a way that's fun and serious, like lots of fun topics we explore here in this show. And yeah, I'm excited for some of our like little focuses today. I like to zero in on is like observation, you know, just perspective of how we're observing things, and you know what you know and how it helps you build patterns on how you know other things. So many complexities to this. Lightning! Yep. So here we go. Alright. So let's get this guy away from the drums for a bit here. And let's have him come up and introduce himself. We'll get the timer going here. Come over there, dude. You got your own chair. Really come over here. Wait the fuck up! Wait the fuck up! Alright, your 2 minutes is up.
You guys have been a great crowd.
Alright, great conversation. Alright. Andy Stefin, how freaking weird is that? I'm stoked to hear this like 2 minutes from
I mean, that's the whole story that you just said, is that my
I already took your whole 2 minute story? Shit, I'm sorry everybody.
Well, yep.
Alright, are you ready for your 2 minutes? Like you can tell the whole story. I'd love to hear it.
I'll tell a different story.
I'd love to hear
Sherry
any
stole
story.
My story. Like,
Okay.
I told you in confidence before this started, and then you just
All right. We'll tell something. Ready?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, so, alright. Now that the timer's going, alright. I haven't been in permaculture very long. In fact, this is my first year. And the fact that somehow I ended up having the opportunity to stay on Andy's farm for nearly 2 months this summer and just experience it through all the different seasons and see the intentionality and just beautification and the intention that he put into his land, and to just be out there and experience it with my kids has changed my life. And now I'm here on the podcast. 40 seconds are up, so I have a minute 20 left. Okay. Andy, you are just magic. You embody just a magical spirit, and that is why you're Andy the Elf. And your home embodies the same thing, and I love being around you, and I love being in your home because you just have this aura about you that, wow, everybody that meets you just sees it, just like, wow, man, you're wow.
True.
So I enjoy being in your presence. And then you two combined to Andy Stefin, my last name being Stefin, and it is always mispronounced Steven, but it's the German pronunciation of Stefan. And so you guys combined to Andy Stefin. For 95% of my life, I've been Andy Stefin, but just recently have started going by Andrew when I started working with this fine young man here. So it was just like a weird universal thing of, hey, these two people and I are going to be on a podcast tonight, and all of our names. There's 7 podcasts. But to be named Andy Stefin and to be on a podcast with Andy and Stefin, just out of the blue, randomly, the universe conspired to make this. Blah, blah, blah. Done.
What the farm? So actually what really happened was Stefan and I, we've been friends for so long.
You guys conspired for this to
We
happen?
decided to create a clone made out of us.
I had that baby clone grown up.
Where you going? You have more to speak on.
No, that's it. My 2 minutes are up.
What
I'm
are
just
you
going to go back to
talking
the
about?
house.
What?
Yeah,
Are you
we get
serious?
to talk to him now. Where are you going, dude? Sit
Wait,
right
that
down.
doesn't
Sit
work.
down.
That
What
no,
the fuck,
it's
dude?
the time of expanse. It's
Yeah.
2 minutes from.
That wasn't
eternal
wrong.
We are
perspective.
your fathers.
I
The
didn't
time
tell me.
terminated.
Hold on.
Sit back down. We have questions.
I feel like I'm in timeout now. Send it back to the court.
Easy up there, Elf.
Alright.
Alright, Andy.
What do you got?
We're
Alright,
gonna end
Stefan.
this.
What do you got to say?
Alright, Andy Stefan. I don't know.
So,
I
I have a
love, you guys
question.
know I love
You know
weird shit, right? So that's why this dude had to come on the microphone. But there's other reasons too.
This is
It's really interesting. He's gone from working in software,
Software development.
which sounded about as
Okay.
exciting as our logistics guy.
It's
Hey,
very
we
but
need software.
speaking
It's so
speaking a
important.
computer language to a computer to instruct it what to do and how to run a course of lines of code. But it is interesting. I do like the mental stimulation of that job, but being on the land is just life changing in a different way, and I enjoy that.
And how long's it been
What more?
since you've turned your journey
Just
into
in
that?
March of 2022 this year.
Okay. So February 2022, you were to the computer and
Yep.
stuff.
And it would go
And
blah, 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 and tell me.
What was nature like to you then, and how would you compare it to now?
I still loved it. I was
How you
an avid
observe it.
hiker. Every time I had off, I wanted to be hiking or kayaking or riding my bike and just being out in it. But I didn't know the names of any plants, or I didn't know. I just would be like, what a beautiful tree, and I just think tree, shrub, this,
like
grass,
a Lego world.
flower. I don't know. And you've mentioned this in your podcast before, how it would be to be a person in this situation that is experiencing it all and just raw. I'm experiencing it in raw beauty because I don't have these defined labels of ooh, that is meniscus volvulus, and that's how this is reviewed. But I don't know. I just see it oh, beautiful, 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 beautiful. And I'm learning more about it, and it is great. And so now I walk through the forest, and I'm like, oh, that's maple, and that's an ash tree, and this is this, and I love that too, being able to identify it and know something about it, but I feel like I'm losing that kind of just beginner's mind of look at that thing and just its beauty, and don't give it any kind of label or words and just admire it. It's harder to do that the more I know.
Look at that lumber up there. It just needs to be cut. You don't ever do that, huh? Like you're not like, oh, that could be some good campfire wood.
So,
There's so many different kinds
No,
of trees,
no,
right?
no, no,
Like
no.
there's like trees that are like the ancient, like grandfathers and mothers of the forest, and there's the ones that are just like you walk close to them, they've like even gone beyond that, and they're just like cathedrals of the forest or something, you know. And you just walk among them and just like feel like the
You just want
time
to
and
reach out and
essence.
hug it and just squeeze it as tight as you can and be like, you've
Yeah.
been here for centuries longer than I have. What can you teach me, tree?
Right, but then there's like the forest where it's all young trees, and it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, it's like maybe a field that cows walked in or something, or buffaloes trampled 30 years ago, but it's regrowing into a forest, and all the trees are growing real close to each other. And during that time period, you can collect and cut some of those down and use them. So yeah, you're like looking at a field of them like that. And you're like, lumber, houses. Yeah, I like houses because if I have a house, maybe I could have a spouse this winter. Ha ha ha. And then you might get one, and then you can like go and catch like creatures and eat them and stuff, and make like hats and stuff.
Where do you draw the line between thinking of it as a resource and thinking of it as a human, not a human, but a living being with a soul? And where do you say, like, this one's for timber and this one's alive and I love it? And how do you distinguish?
Well, just one day at a time, your observation like starts to grow, and like what your resource needs are, and you know if if the winter goes on and you don't have a spouse, then you don't need a house, and maybe you just need a wheel or a
And there's our
canoe
house. And a
or
house.
some kind of boat of some sort. So you take all those little logs and you make a raft and you float down to New Orleans, and you get ready for Mardi Gras at the end of the winter. I don't know. It's just my suggestion. First thing that came to mind.
What do you say to a tree that you're about to cut down? How do you console the life that you're about to take?
I'm like, thanks. And then I eat it.
You will become the fuel for my home.
Yeah.
So having done software, right? You did software before?
Yes.
Alright, so then from software, now you're
March.
interested in
Nice.
learn
2022.
some stuff from with Andy, and then you've been picking up some things on your own. Is there a way that you feel like if you were speaking to someone who's doing software development now or something, like a way to talk to them and maybe get them interested in what you're interested in now? Is there a way to like
I don't want
see
to
a
be
code
interested.
out there and then this is a question.
Well, yeah.
Don't be interested in what I'm interested in now. Follow your own interest and just go wholeheartedly into it, because that's going to get you so much farther than following anything else besides just wherever your heart guides you. You got to listen. Don't ignore it and
Explore it.
yeah. Don't ignore it. Explore it. There you go. But truly, just follow your ambition and don't be scared and just go for it. That's what you got to do. This is
That would be like a quote on the internet, like that people will be like passing around in like 48 years. They'll be like, you remember this time 48 years ago when they passed that quote around?
the meme of Andy Stefin with Andy and Stefin.
As Andrew now.
Andy, this is former. This is prior to Andrew days.
Do you want it going down in history as Andy Stefin or
I want it
Andrew? Because you mentioned
as-
Andrew, it's been a recent thing. But,
Due to the joke of the
Consult.
night, I'm gonna go by Andy tonight.
okay.
Consult with the gomies. You know,
The
go
gummies have spoken.
eat a few gomies and then say what you want to be called. I like to be called all kinds of things, so just call me shit. It's fun. It's fun to be called.
One of the things I love.
No, I want to hear about one. Let's hear about one of the things that he loves. I want to hear about more than one thing, but let's hear what the thing is of mind right now.
One of the things that I love about your property is the invitation for wilderness to come into every section of your property where permaculture has these zones of spacing everything out and just saying, this is human zone. Nature, you have zone 5 at the back. But yours is just like, nature, you're welcome in every zone. I don't have fences up. I don't have anything. Just come and eat and harvest with me. And I love that about being on your land, the fact that nature is invited to every aspect of your property.
Yeah, I mean, I got like spiders that make webs around the screen corners, so like any little gap in the screens, there's little spiders there catching bugs trying to get in anyway. It's like there's just like this way it all kind of works together. Halloween, there's a lot more cobwebs. It looks way cooler than the ones that have like stretched out cotton candy or whatever all over their bushes. I like those too, though. It's just kind of fun. I like that festive kind of like decorate the place kind of thing. It's always better if you can just like watch it compost away though. So yeah, so Andy Stefin here. So this last year has often been the guy that stays at my house when last minute I have to go out and do a plant survey for a week or two and other projects of that kind of nature. And so being that he was in the permaculture class and had started working with our friend Care, who
Shout out to Care. Shout out to Homedo. Shout out to Vicky and Peter.
and other people by the volcanoes in Hawaii, shout out to them, you know, about like the jungle's on fire.
Oh man.
Man.
You say it right now. That's it.
Yeah. Loops and the fun here. So you've been a fan of the podcast show too, amongst like some of your other learning experiences. You've been working with a native plant nursery. Do you want to share about any of those things in the native plant nursery that you've learned, like since you've been learning about plants more recently as a newer thing for you?
I don't feel that I know enough to share specifics, but what I'll say is just native plants restore ecosystems that are on the decline due to species from other countries taking over. And if you can just change your yard to be not a hostile environment, not just a yard that's doing nothing but looking good to the Joneses next door, but if you could create a sanctuary for wildlife in your own spaces that you own. The government says you own this place that's not yours, but just if you can make the space around you just beautiful and ready for insects, because most insects need a specific host plant that is a native plant, and when that plant is gone, that insect is also gone from the ecosystem. So I mean,
that bugs me.
that certainly does. And we just have this old European idea of the green lawn as the ideal. Why?
Yeah, I don't believe in sod. I do believe in the sun.
So
Sorry, that's
native
just a
plants.
saying. I think that's funny. So I don't know where else to go with that. Sod, no sod, and it's like little fluffy tufts of green grass that you can skip around in and get chiggers and stuff in the summer. It's great. That's why people like it, I guess. I mean,
Exactly.
but yeah, really, like, it was amazing, like, when the gas prices started spiking and people were all filling up their gas tanks so they could fill up their lawnmowers so they could mow their grass still. I was really thinking that maybe this is a moment people are going to quit mowing as much. But man, people love to mow that stuff.
Mow it, water it, rake it, take the leaves and like you were just telling me earlier.
Dump
take
it on
every
the
stick.
street and then buy it back as bags of mulch and bring it back to your house, like, just in a different shape.
You heard it first on NPR and second here.
What did they say on NPR? You gotta expand on that if you're gonna
It's
try
actually
their name in here. Like, I don't,
well,
Nipper.
not NPR, but what's the local broadcasting that you were on with Peter and Braden that you had just told me about earlier?
I think it was with some lady named Diane Levinsky. She's
So I
great.
think you
She's
should
fun to
expand on
talk
this
to.
story because it's your life.
Oh, that was a while ago. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to go and find it. I don't even know how to find it.
Cincinnati edition. Andy was on there as a garden expert with Peter Dinklage? No, what's his last name?
Peter Huntinger. Peter Huntinger.
And Vicky Mansour.
Of the home mid.
No, that's not. Who else? Braden.
Yeah, they're all like land buddies with our friend Character. They have like a 5-acre piece of property down near Spring Grove, which is like it's a home meadow. It's a really sweet little place, you know. So yeah, again, shout out to the people in Hawaii. Cares out in Hawaii, and we like. I know I love volcanoes. Every time.
We got Cares crew here
I hope
today.
everybody's safe and feeling good.
We got Kelly out in the audience here, another member of Cares crew.
Yeah. She got like balcony seats too. Look at them up there.
Don't mind that monocle as she looks from a balcony seat.
Yeah, it looks like they even get like meal service or something. Like, what's going on there? Alright, yeah. So how do you feel about is there anything that you find in the comparison of like patterns you see in nature compared to patterns you saw in the computer software? So I'm curious about that. I don't have any clue. There's no patterns.
Line to the natural environment.
Say it again louder in the mic.
Lines of the matrix that align to patterns in nature.
More. Like
No,
like,
I'm
I wanna
asking, is
know
that what you
more.
want me to talk about? I don't think
That's all I
lines
want
of
you to
code
talk
can
about.
never
Right
be
Lines
as
of-
beautiful and wild as nature can be. So there's no comparison to look for. There's
now. Lines of what did you say?
lines of code.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I mean, you're totally different things. Like you're creating, you're talking to a machine, which is a human construct, and you are there writing a language that it understands and is replying to you with its own responses. And
Thank you.
that's something amazing on its own.
Thank you.
Humankind is just so
Kind.
the things that we can come up with and create, and you look at our descendants and how did we get to this point? It is amazing. I love technology and I love nature, and I think they own in their own right. They each have their own thing that they provide to us, but we need to find a way to bring a symbiosis between the two, where nature and technology are working together to create a better environment for people, a better environment for trees, a better environment for every species on the planet. And if we can do that, we can become a part of the community of living beings on this planet, not separate from it. We don't need to be humans here, nature there. We can become a community of living beings together, and that's what it needs to be.
That was the real 2 minutes right there. Yeah, that was great poetry. I feel it. Appreciate it.
You want to take this back? Like, go over to the crowd. You tell me where to go.
Yeah, you sit on there, but like, right now. Right now. Yeah, wake the farm up! Are you guys having fun? This show, you can see, it can go anywhere. Amazing stuff comes up, amazing stories come out. You never know exactly which topics we'll explore or which ones we'll go deeper into. But we will make sure it's fun. We're having a good time. So, next up, I mean, just real quick, you know, because I like to throw it out there. Is anybody else that wants to have a 2-minute, you know, like could even just be like a short conversation after, but if anybody has a 2-minute on the mic that's ready. Yeah? Yeah? No, not you. Not you. Not you. Not you. Alright, we got solar powered super solar punk. Stroke the boom, the boom, the boom. Patrick Sherwin coming up to the throne behind the school. We got everything that you need. It's cool. Take it off the mic stand. Play with it there. Yeah, get it up. How's it look? Check it. I know. You know.
I'm not very good on the spot, on the mic, but I know you can guide me through this.
Yeah, so, as we all know, you get 2 minutes uninterrupted.
And for the record, I did not know.
Shut the farm up.
So maybe you all might have. But
You know.
I'm ready.
Do you know that?
Give me the 2.
Do you know
I
that?
know it now.
Exactly. That's where we are. So, as I was saying, I got this little timer here. I'm gonna hit it, and I'll you'll look over it if you want to or whatever. But if it gets to 2 minutes, then we're allowed to interrupt you. Okay? It's game time, and we'll get to hang out and talk for a while. You got so much to share, so a lot more than 2 minutes. So. It could be whatever you want. It could be poetry. You could give us comedy for a minute and a half and then 30 seconds of just love poetry. Whatever you want. That's what this show is all about. And of course, somehow it'll end up talking about foraging and how we were climbing in a canyon or something. So here we go. You got 2 minutes. You got it. Yeah, you on, Rin?
You got it right, Andy.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. My name is Patrick, and I've been involved in solar for the last couple of decades and trying to get it to power our lives. I'm all about the sun. It's pretty much, what I've been trying to live closer to, trying to get it to fuel our homes and our cars and our wonderful way of life. And in the past decade or so with GoSun, we're getting pretty close to figuring it out. And we came up with an incredible way to cook food without burning anything. You can make a meal in 20 minutes. We then pivoted into solar-powered coolers, so you can now have your food all dry and organized without having to use ice. We have made a water purification and sanitation system, so you can get out and always fill fresh, clean drinking water, have a shower, have a sink. And we made a coffee brewing system. We're trying to eliminate single-use plastics with some of our inventions. And ultimately, as you get closer to the sun, you get closer to truth, to nature, and you can find a more pure, long-lasting, and enjoyable life. And you're out living. So you're living with more fun because you don't have to worry about things as much. Your products are naturally fueling themselves. And you're living with more resilience. So you've got security for your family. And if shift hits the fan,
Hey.
you got yourself somewhere to go. And we know it will. We know it does. And it's very, very unlikely that you'll buy something in life that actually double dips. It's like buying a tree or plants or building out your farm. You're buying something beautiful and enjoyable, and you're buying something that's gonna stick around and be there.
Stick around. Yeah, that was an awesome 2 minutes. Got a lot in there. Got a lot in there. Even some vipers at the end there while we were all cheering. Oh my gosh. I think it's these people up in the balcony. Alright, man. Thanks for coming to Wake the Farm Up podcast show. Maintaining ground here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm not very observant as a creature, so I'm excited to learn more about what observation works for you and what you have to what you're seeing.
Yeah, one thing I want to share about this guy. So, at one point in my life, I ended up out in California, Felton, California, near Santa Cruz, and I was looking for a job. I didn't have a car. I had a cool pad. I lived with 3 former Mormon women, and they were they were just great people, right? We had great, sweet relationships.
Fun.
And so one day I did get a job because I actually ran into Mr. Sherwin here himself, just like in Santa Cruz one day, and he was working with a company that was putting solar panels on the roofs, and you could look at the bay. It was amazing. You could see the mountains, and I got to go and work on that a few days, but I had to ride my bike through these winding mountain hills, through redwood trees, to get there for like 45 minutes. And one day I missed the ride with the truck, so I had to ride my bike for another hour and a half to get to this job. And I got there by lunchtime, and they were all like, what the fuck? So I didn't even get the job. I didn't get to keep the job. I felt like I let him down. I apologize for that. But the next trick in this story, which was crazy, I ended up apprenticing with this mechanic who lived down the road from me. He was going to help me get a car, and he was going to pay me to like help him work on cars. So I was like, dude, yeah, that's where I'm at today. So ended up getting this little Volkswagen Rabbit, and we hooked it up so it ran on. Oh, it was already hooked up to run on diesel pretty much. We just had to, the straight vegetable oil, where you can just get it out of the back of a Chinese restaurant, a little pump and a filter, and you just put it in the back in this extra tank. And you got a switch in the cab, so you just flip it over and it just runs on straight vegetable oil.
Is it only at Chinese restaurants?
Those are my favorite to go to.
Oh,
They
okay.
usually have like really clean oil. Like you're like, did you even use this? Sometimes you just see strange things floating in the top, and you're like, that's why I have a filter. So yeah, I ended up getting this car. And so after I get this car, I'm like, I want that solar panel job. I'm like, dude, can I really try to get this job? And it was like still pretty much not a deal. But then I found out like a day later or something that the guy who I had actually bought the car from was the guy who he worked for.
Bob Evans.
That was the dude's name.
Bob
Yeah,
Evans.
Bob Evans knew nothing about Bob Evans, the restaurant over on this side of the continent. But what a cool guy. Bob Evans taught me a lot. He basically told me early on, he says, I need you to engineer, and design this system. It was like a huge system, way over my head. And I was like, Bob, come on, man. I don't, I know I'm pretty good, but, you're putting me in too deep. And he's like, you are an engineer. I don't have any credentials. I went to engineering school for 1 year. He's like, dude, you know engineering.
You're like, choo choo! As soon as you hear that word, you get a little straight hat on.
he's a professional engineer, and here he is putting me in the game,
Pro.
It's like playing in the NBA when you barely even, shot free throws, and you're like,
So what do you engineer?
so, I saw problems.
You were
In
engineering
that
then,
case,
like what were you engineering then? Like systems that go on houses,
it was a
like
commercial scale
putting
rooftop.
the components together, and
We did so many interesting jobs there because it was right when the solar industry was burgeoning from, residential and off-grid into like commercial and institutional. One of the jobs we did was a little solar-powered biodiesel gas station in Felton, the town where you live.
okay.
And we were driving a big old diesel van, like an F-350 that ran on bio. So we were, at the time, this is 2000 or something, we were all solar powered. Our vehicle was running on the sun, and we were putting up solar like you couldn't
Solar
believe.
punk.
And then Bob, if this is Santa Cruz, right when it was becoming like a bedroom community and really starting to blossom. And until then, it was kind of a sleepy little surf town. And anytime the surf was up, it's nice to hear the gulls out there. Bob was like, yo, the surf was up, Patrick. Why weren't you out this morning? And he would be like, he would get upset with employees for not catching surf. It reminds me of Yvonne Chouinard wrote a great book, Let My People Go Surfing. And it's basically
Yvonne Chouinard.
the founder of Patagonia,
Okay.
who has recently decided to give his company to the
You
earth.
like that?
Yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah, he's done some really neat stuff. Just like
You
a month
like
ago.
you like the Patagonia,
I like to pat it.
Patrick?
Otherwise, hey, it's apparel, it's clothing. But the ethos of the company is completely aligned and righteous, and you want to see more companies doing it. And he's been well aligned ever since day one. But the big thing he focused on was making sure that his people were happy. And I think, you know, a lot of the workforce in today's world is kind of falling apart. You know, not many people want to be loyal to a company because the company's not loyal and good to them. And we're really trying to change that and try to keep, you know, a lot of that stuff alive where you have relationship, you know, you can really go deep and really, you know, respect and return to each other in a good way.
Yeah. So tell me, when did you start the GoSun business, and tell me about how that's been with people you work with and managing people, and as you've grown through that, coming from those experiences you've had before that.
Yeah. Oh man, I got involved in solar thermal, which is like for domestic hot water, at the very beginning of my career in Ohio. And one project, maybe almost 20 years ago, was a guy that called and said, "Hey, will you take these solar thermal panels off of my rooftop? They're leaking and not working anymore. I want them gone." So instead of throwing them in the dumpster, I brought them home and started tinkering on them. They were these 6 foot long, 1 inch in diameter evacuated tubes. Some like giant fluorescent tube looking deal. And I knew there was something to be done with them, so I'm thinking, yeah, totally tubular here. We gotta pull some value. So I actually ran up to the fridge, grabbed some hot dogs, because here we are in the Flying Pig City, sausage capital. And the hot dog sizzled on its way down into the tube, and I thought, dang, gone, this is a sweet solar cooking device. I gotta figure out how to do more with these hot dogs.
Was that like one of the? I think that was one of the first names we had, like the doggy tuber.
Yeah, I was doing solar wieners there a long time there.
And then the Sun Kenobi.
Solar Q. Oh man, I had so many names, and took that product down to Bonnaroo. You know, we were powering the solar stage with.
Yeah, we love music festivals.
And you know, showed a lot of people how to properly cook a solar dog, but I knew that it needed to be more than that before it became really consumer oriented. And so I had a few ahas and breakthroughs, and about 10 years ago I went to Kickstarter with like 1,000 emails from people that I had known in the solar industry over a good decade. And a lot of my friends and family knew I was doing this because I had been working on it as a heavy muse for a good year and a half. And I put it up on Kickstarter, and it freaking blew up. So the first day we did like 13 grand, and over 7 weeks we raised about $200,000. And I full on quit everything else that I was doing and started focusing on GoSun 100%. In fact, I hired a couple of my best pals that I met in the permaculture design course.
Oh, look, some of the people up on the balcony way back here have some. They're cooking with it right now. Like, how will it actually even on like a lunar night, maybe warming it?
We have actually properly converted. We've converted all of our stoves to now run on 12 volt as well as solar. So you can plug them into any car, truck, boat, or RV made since the 1950s.
No.
What? So if it's 1949, you can't?
Yeah, you want to play a video? That one might go for a minute.
Mine's a 49.
It's like 2 minutes. Is it too long?
Whatever, go for it.
Yeah, they're really beautifully shaped. Now look at this.
GoSun ovens are special because of our vacuum tube technology, which provides near perfect ventilation.
Sucks, but it's cool.
This makes all 3 of our ovens super efficient. They can cook your food in just 20 minutes,
soup in them?
all while remaining safe to touch. They even work in freezing and cloudy conditions. We have 3 different solar oven models, each designed with different uses in mind. This video will help you decide which oven is right for you. First, the Go. It's the most portable and durable stove in our lineup. It weighs only 2 pounds, and when zipped, the reflectors become its perfect case. Bring it backpacking, or load the tray before a game and have a sun-cooked picnic. The Go feeds 1 person in about 30 minutes. It's perfect for dehydrated food and can even boil water when oriented vertically on its integrated stand.
Great for squirrels and trout.
Oh,
Next, the Stork. It's the fastest and best-selling stove in our lineup. It is our original product, and we've sold over 20,000 The reflectors safely bounce enough light to achieve temperatures over 500 degrees. Loaded with veggies, wings,
Can you
cookies,
imagine the carbon
and feed
offset
2
of
to
that
3
20,000
people
fires,
in
even
20
if people
minutes.
just tried them one
The
time?
sport is
And
compact.
they're reusable.
In
Like
ways
you could be
7
using
pounds,
it like
so you can
150
get
years from now. It'll work just the same. You could
Accessories
be using
include
it
brew, boiling water,
20,000 years from now.
for boating,
Maybe some
carrying
parts will
case
break
for
down,
fire.
the metal components and the
It's
plastics
perfect
in
for
20,000 years, but you
backyard
could replace them with like bone and other materials on
Finally,
Earth
the
at some point
future
along the way.
is
If
the
you have
largest
time at
and
that
most
point,
versatile
carve
stove in
them.
our lineup. Experience a
Look at
real
this
off-grid feast and feed up to 6 people in the sun in less than an hour. The Fusion's versatility shines even when the sun is not.
What?
It's the only solar oven that also has a built-in
That's what we
12
were talking about.
So if you need a meal at night or while indoors, you
Oh, I
welcome.
see. You added that. Man, that's
In summer,
GoSun.
all of our ovens are portable and ultra efficient. The Go is the easiest to take
I got
places,
3 of them
and
in
it
my
feeds them.
socks right now.
The Sport is super fast and feeds 2 to 3.
That's
The
like
Fusion
quick
is the most
dagger.
reliable off-grid cooking solution, feeding the whole family. Compare further and learn more about our fuel-free technology at gosun.co.
Kind of turns me on.
What's this? You have a. There's a. You have. Hold on. Let me look at this.
You have what is this? A battery heated
Stefan, you
electric
got
blanket? Is that solar powered?
Yeah.
How does that work?
For our audio
I can
listeners,
ask you what you
Stephanie's
hear.
what?
Yeah, some of the things that we've
Oh,
gotten
yeah.
into more recently is you realize like personal comfort is a huge business, and we spend our time like heating the entirety of a space or cooling the entirety of a big space. But if you could just focus on the human, which is where the heat or cooling matters, you get the job done with a lot less energy. So, you know, the way we approach issues is, you know, obviously looking at whatever available technology is out there in the solar space and incredible electronics, lithium ion energy storage. And we try to do things the most efficiently possible. But more important maybe is the word sufficiency, is to try to look at the situation and say, well, okay, well, what needs to happen here for how long? You know, and I'm not trying to have people compromise their comfort. In fact, we're trying to increase it, but largely when they're outdoors or in environments that aren't, you know, properly conditioned or they don't have running water or something. And so in the case of the heated blanket, like it's this simple 12-volt blanket that has several different heating modes depending on how cold it is. You wrap yourself up in it, you can sleep on it or sleep with it, and just it totally does the job even when it's bitter cold out. And then this summer we launched a ultra efficient fan, and it's kind of the same basic simple principle. You're leveraging our innate ability to sweat.
I'm a GoSun fan.
When you sweat and you push
He
that air off
engineered
your
me.
body with a little convection and that evaporates, you cool off. And it happens on an uncanny level, you know, anything whenever the temperature's above 80 degrees and you're sweating. Just get around some moving air. And you just don't have to air condition the whole space.
Yeah, there you go. You can get together with like Patagonia and make like some solar suits or something, you know, that like you ever seen that story Dune where they're on that like desert planet and it like collects their body perspiration so they can drink it while they're in the desert, and you know, maybe you can make some stuff like that, like heated things, you know, and they just collect sunlight as you're walking around in the sun. Or if you're sleeping because it's too hot out, you can just like drape it outside in the sun.
That's the
ready
future.
for nighttime travel. Yeah, maybe you even have some like boots that are like solar powered and they make you like float in the air a little bit and you just kind of lean forward.
Now you're talking some powwow.
Yeah, I like solar punk concept. So there's this concept of solar punk that I'd love to explore with you. It's fascinating. We had Andy Stefin earlier and he was talking about, you know, we kind of went into the patterns of software and the patterns of nature and like where they cross and merge. And, you know, as a long time drawn into permaculture and forest living creature that I am, I remember years ago kind of discovering there was kind of this, in this, like the greater permaculture community, there was kind of like this schools of thoughts where people were a lot more like techie, like solar punk, even maybe steampunk kind of creatures, where then there's these more like primitive creatures that were like more into like making bow fire drills and napping arrowheads and like hunting their turkey for their Thanksgiving family with a bow they carved out of Osage orange. And somewhere in there, like, you know, you can merge all that together into this experience, and it really creates a fascinating like future, you know. And being a Hope Day prepper, I definitely hope that through a transition of time, we have these technologies to, you know, support a comfortable way of living for people that is very efficient, you know. I mean, the no fuel, that's fascinating, right?
Amen, brother. And you nailed it. That's, I think, one of the first things we did in the permaculture class is we stood together in a circle and asked, you know, what is it that you bring, you know, what are you good at? And toss the yarn around and create that web. And you realize, like, it takes all kinds, and it's all about diversity. I mean, nature operates in its best form with most diversity possible. So, you know, some people might be software developers. Some people might be
Hardware developers.
I'm more of a hardware developer,
Yeah,
and you're more of a foliage developer. You know, you're good with the foliage and the soils. I'm not.
Storage later.
You're a green thing developer, and I really respect what you do, Andy. You got skills that are just mind blowing. And I've seen your resume. For a recent solar project, I had to ask Andy for his resume.
What time period was that?
And we're talking about 40 different jobs across 6 pages, going from 4 different continents, all involved in green things. Everything you've ever done has to do with plant life, and of course wildlife in general. And
That's probably the last time I made a resume too. When was that? Like 2006 or some shit?
It was brilliant.
Yeah, I need to
it looked
update
like
that
journal
thing.
entry.
I'm gonna get a resume job. I'll send you an updated resume.
No, you're a maverick, man.
It'll be 2023. It's a big book. You need a week to read it.
Serious. I look forward to it.
I just like the details, you know, and like a lot of people, they do appreciate the details, especially when there's lots of spreadsheets that make it really easy to look at. You can lay it all out. And then like even like software like designers and whatnot could read it and look at it and be like, oh, look at that. Okay. So a Fraxinus americana, the white ash, you know, it's like got this going on for it, and it's had that for that long. They, you know, often people say they call it ash because when it burns, that's pretty much all that's left is a little bit of ash. Louisville Slugger baseball bats, what are they going to do when there's no more ash trees? I don't know. Maybe they'll make it out of titanium at that point because they'll be recycling at that point because they made so much of it. Like old titanium pans that people don't want anymore. But yeah, this whole solar punk feature fascinates me. Is there like any solar punk kind of festivals or events that you've ever heard of or been to that are of like any nature, and tell us like what that's like?
Dude, I've not been, but I actually recently discovered a whole series of solar punk conferences and whatnot. I'd love to go. I mean, you know, for me, it's like I'm a deep optimist, and I'd love to get around people who also are. You know, it's some people say good, bad, or indifferent. No, good, bad, and indifferent. You know, I'm all about seeing the brighter side, and I don't think there's a whole lot of problems of being ultra optimistic. And, you know, I actually think that we're moving to a better future right now. Even though a lot of folks want to describe how horrible it is and how horrible it's going to get. You know, I think humans have really evolved to the point where we can do some really incredible stuff to support our way and the way of nature. I know we have to get there quickly, and we need some leadership support there, but you know, I think that our technology is actually going to support better and deeper connection, and it's going to enhance, you know, over time, it's going to be able to enhance the biotic community and really bring back a lot of diversity and a lot of the things that we know we've lost and we've you know, powered over, you know, in the Industrial Revolution over the last couple hundred years. It's not easy. I know that's like not very commonly discussed or thought of, but of the folks that are going to make it, there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of hope and optimism and a lot of rekindling of all these types of connections and using technology to really further humanity. And I think permaculture is very much of that essence.
Yeah, it's the joy of adaptation and being in the present moment, remembering where you come from, but being in the present moment, carrying your burdens and stories and your fears, knowing the people that walked before you carried theirs, and having a good time with it.
Amen.
Yeah. So Patrick, tell us, I know you're really into the sun more so than just like the physics aspects of it. Can you tell us like any interesting stories about like folklore around the sun or something of that nature? Yeah, love to hear
I don't know
some.
how many people witnessed the Great American Eclipse, but another one's coming on us soon. So get your plans together for
Great American!
April 2024. There'll be another one slicing right through this region.
Brought to you by
The sun. Yeah. Oh, but that was such a touching experience. I remember witnessing something like it when I was a kid as well, and I think that was probably one of the most memorable experiences as a child. Putting your head inside a cardboard box with a little slit. I don't know if you guys were there.
Yeah, I always looked like I would get like a Dorito bag or something like that, and you peel them open, they're like shiny and metallic on the inside, and you just hold that up to the eclipse, and you can look straight at the sun for hours with that, and it doesn't hurt your eyes or anything. You just see you can see the sun. You can't see anything else. You just aim that foily side outwards. Just look right into that big D.
Yeah, watch the cheese sauce on your face.
But
I thought
somebody loved that shit. I should probably play the didgeridoo now. Keep going.
put some welding goggles on, give you that action. But I just thought that the Great American Eclipse was such a flex of solar power. I felt like the sun was just like, yes, you know how big and strong I am, and watch me duck behind the moon here for a minute. But it just the tiniest little sliver of sunlight lit up the entire world. If you were a part of that eclipse, it's just like at a sunrise. It's like, it could be pitch black, but just the moment the sun starts to emerge around that horizon, it is game on, full on light. And it reminds me, I'll probably butcher the quote, but maybe I'll end with the quote from Rumi.
That person just fell out of that balcony over there.
Wow. Something like,
Yeah, they look having they're having a good time, so we're good.
the sun, oh jeez. The sun is so epic and so bright, it shines on us without asking for anything in return. Just look at what can happen through a love like that.
Tell me what coal is
It lights up the whole world.
in a sentence.
Coal is just ancient sunshine.
Tell me what oil is.
We're just using up ancient sunshine on a level that's, pretty quick, and it's kind of uncanny if you do the math, how much we can access ancient years of stored up sunshine.
2 times
And
13.
That's the cool way of
I think nuclear is the only thing that really isn't directly derived from the sun.
Huh.
Well, I mean, obviously fossil fuels are rather indirect, but
Well, some of that could be plasma that came off of the sun like a long time ago and like made little uranium deposits on the earth. I don't know.
It's
I'm
on the
not.
sun.
Yeah, somebody knows, and I'd love to hear about that.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it's interesting that the lore.
I don't have any nanium, but uranium.
You could have.
Sorry, I had to.
You could have your
You
own
gotta have fun with these
nuclear
words.
fusion capturing device. That's what I make. So you don't need to go with plutonium and uranium. You can capture nuclear fusion all day, every day. But it is interesting to your point, your question around like folklore, like that there aren't a whole lot around the sun. You know, and I'm
Like
curious.
Apollo.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like the sun.
yeah, I mean, in our
and
modern
there's
culture.
Lug. It was like a ancient Gaelic god of the
Oh, and
sun.
there's so many ancient cultures that worship the sun, but I don't know of any that exist
Yeah, I
today.
think, I think I feel like a lot. Maybe most of them
Right.
that have any sort of recorded like textual history. Yeah, like worship it in some way. Like they have a word like day at least, something.
Well, mostly everyone around here worships it on Sunday.
Do you worship the sun?
On a sunny Sunday in November.
Yeah, but really, on Sunday.
Everybody worships it in their own way. Some people do it on Tuesday, I guess. Just like have, what do they call it, like banana pancakes. Just pretend like it's Sunday. Worship the sun because it came out. Amongst all the green
Right,
clouds
yeah.
that are forecasted.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime it comes out in November and December, we'd be worshiping it here in Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there projections you have for like GoSun's future? Are you guys gonna like what if you did a solar punk festival? What
Yeah,
would you put your hair like in a mohawk or something?
I'd love to get to know the space better and
Some cool solar
because
goggles.
you're right, like
What would they wear? What would you wear?
Slow down.
It's like a Renaissance festival or something,
I
right?
would
Where
wear
it's
that.
like cosplay of the like Sun Lords and
That-
like steampunk. You ever heard of you've heard of, like the steampunk ones, guys, right? Like steampunk cosplay or whatnot, like where people go and like sometimes they have themes, but sometimes they just go and have a village and they just interact with each other and they do weird shit.
and they get to draw from like some 1920s era, but the solar punk folks aren't drawing from anything. They're trying to pull from 2300. So it's great to project questions into that space and what it would look like. I liked your idea of the GoSun Patagonia vest. That's so long as you're catching sun and you're out under the sun, you're going to be rewarded with warmth from your vest at night.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you didn't get out in the sun, if you didn't go outside, there's no reward.
Yeah. Then you gotta then you're like wanting somebody else's jacket that was outside.
Like, ooh, he was outside today.
And they're all grumpy like, oh come on, baby. I was outside all day.
That'll be a great future where everyone's flaunting like they're out, how much time they spent outdoors, instead of like basically the fashion industry sharing like how much time you're committed to like watching and caring about trends and spending time indoors.
What do you like we've talked about technology and nature mixing a little bit here tonight. So like what do you think about this phenomenon where people are having AI technology that gives them exercise advice and how many steps they're supposed to take per day? And like all these different like specific like how many times they're supposed to do this or that or just what do you think of that and how that interplays onto the pattern of our natural selves?
Yeah, I just hope that there's always a choice with all of that. I mean, I think it's great for some people, but
I've heard of some of these AIs getting really mad at you, and then like they'll like do weird things to your phone. They'll send your number to scammers. Next thing you know, you're trying to like get the scammers away, and
Do you have specific facts to back this up? Are you
there was
reporting
one
news
I
right
actually
now? All right,
there
then
was
let
one I
people know
actually
the
tried to
account. When was
scam the other day because I
Okay.
knew they were coming right into it.
Where
So
was
I
this
just
at?
went ahead before. I was like, "Do you have any money?" Yeah, they sent me a note like, "Are you still in the United States?" And I was like, "No, but I'm trying to get back. Can you send me some money? Cash App only."
Hey.
So anyway,
way to sniff
so
them out.
yeah, I mean, what if your exercise app started sending you messages from stuff like that? Because it's like all these apps have like things on it where you can be social with them and have a friend that worked out at the same time or something. So you end up like meeting people whose names are like AB 111.
I'm probably a bit like you on that subject where
I appreciate the wildness, and I'm always headed towards wildness, and I equate human health as a function of, a couple million years of evolution. We grew out of this wild primordial soup where a lot of times we were the ones getting chased, but usually we won because we chased, and there was a lot of effort involved. There's a lot of knowledge of plant, a lot of relationship with plants. You got to know the seasons. You got to know the way wind's moving. You got to understand where you are. So for me, I still like to disconnect with respect to technology as much as possible, so that I'm out in my own, barefoot, existence, strolling around, rather than always trying to hit a certain, heart rate and try to share my 4-mile run jaunt on social. And I think the same is true.
Do you think that, like, if every morning you would film your 4-mile jog, that it would help you sell more GoSun solar products?
I
think it would. I mean, I would subscribe to watching this guy run every morning. No, people do that though, right?
Yeah, I just,
what do you guys think of that? That's wake the farm up.
Yeah, I like what you're doing with this podcast, where it's like, there's some concentration. You're trying to really curate something and be of service, or offer something informative. If you have some hair-raising adventure or something really interesting to share, heck yeah, social media is great. But I feel like so often it's like a popularity contest, and authenticity and things that are really value-adding win, which is great. But a lot of this stuff is garbage, and it's really kind of lowering our vibration and getting us removed from our intuitions or our natural tendencies to really grow and develop.
Right. And what along the way with the busy stuff, along the way, boom. Tell me about, I remember there was some exciting television episodes that were involved with the GoSun product, some of the earlier solar ovens and whatnot. How was that experience? And how many experiences like that? Tell us about some of the shows that it was in so far.
Yeah,
There's going to be more like this.
Our first debut was on Top Chef. Which was pretty high power, and it was like a solar challenge, cook fire challenge or something. It was our stove versus another competitor, and it was neat. Celebrity chef Jose Andres, he's just the man. That dude has hooked me up with more good press and more interaction. He got me invited to the White House for South by South lawn, some party that Obama threw right before he hit it out.
So you were cooking with your oven, with Obama hanging out with you?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to.
Did he come over and open and close it?
No, but a couple other.
Oh, I love the video.
I didn't get to see Obama or DiCaprio, who were there that day. But
who's the other guy?
Just the honored Leonardo DiCaprio.
Is that the famous painter or the Ninja Turtle, right? That went down in the Titanic. Shit.
Yeah, man. We got a chance to be on a couple of reality television shows, which are hilarious and actually pretty
really
real. Just like
really?
This. It was pretty darn real.
Really?
They were like, wear this microphone at all times, so even you're wearing it when you use the restroom. There's cameras everywhere and everything. Yeah,
so
for 8 to 10 hours a day, we're in the studio, and they're just kind of whatever we say or do could be used against us or for us. And we were pitched against
you have to
other companies.
Fight against other people that way too, try to record shit of them or something.
Yeah, you were looking for incriminating. No, it was sweet. The people we were on there.
I got a video of them shitting in the woods. They shit all over their socks, and I wanted to report it so that they can cancel us on the show and I can win. It was that kind of show.
All American Makers. It debuted on the Science Channel, and it was cool. We really felt like we were a part of a contest. It was kind of like Shark Tank
meats like Mythbusters or something.
Did they have good charcuterie?
No, the food was awful. They put us
Shark-
up in this horrible hotel. We were in Jersey City because they couldn't afford to be in like the nicer studios in Brooklyn. It was pretty rough. Gillespie and I were there, and we spent like 7 days all mic'd up every day, trying to win $100,000 or something on a reality television show. That was a really fun episode.
Did you win anything?
Not a thing, and we ate a bunch of bad food.
But did you get like a bunch of people buying GoSuns after that?
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to correlate anything other than online, like web sales. There's the only thing where you can
people
track.
heard about it from.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we had maybe a couple good magazine. We were in Scientific American, and that was a good hit.
Nice.
But an Outside magazine for a minute. But like mainly all the TV shows. We were on Steve Harvey one time. Steve Harvey gave us the. We've been on the Today Show.
Oh, I hate that.
We've been on Price is Right a couple times.
So
Some
your
more
price
movies.
is good. Your prices
yeah.
are. I mean, I don't usually go into numbers in the show or anything, but like people are happy with it. Like when they pay for it, they're like, "All right, this is cool."
Yeah, and if the folks that are listening live right now, today is Cyber Monday, so you're going to get the best deal in the history of mankind right now
Oh.
at GoSun.co.
Well, what do you got like in the next week or so? Any special deals? Because this will probably get like published in a few days. Just saying. Sorry, people.
I just
It's
stamped in.
inside shit.
Oh yeah, no, there's always great deals over there on GoSun.co, and this is a great time. You know, this is our season for sales, the Q4, so we throw our deepest discounts out.
Tripping. These people in the balcony over there just keep like doing weird shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many different places I'd love to explore conversations where you and I have crossed paths. We've, first adventured over in the Hocking Hills, Ohio. Like I was living over there at the same time you were living there, and ended up, at many fiestas, festivals, and even started exploring solar panels back when I had met you. And I remember sometimes you have discussed even since then how the people you had worked for installing solar panels at that point were like the real good, like this is their last like dime they had to make sure they had like off-grid systems, and how over the decades you've seen that turn into other parties interested in these things.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a good ride on the solar coaster. And I've been a solar addict ever since the late '90s. I can't quite kick the habit. And solar was like a gateway for all kinds of other things inside the green sphere. Of course, permaculture, but water management, waste management, green building, and building science. Wind energy. I put up a lot of wind turbines in my day, and then biofuels, and lately more electric vehicles. I started a solar company down in Asheville in 2010 doing solar electric vehicle infrastructure, and it's been a really fun ride and a fun evolution. And for me, it started off with, like you mentioned, little off-grid cabins trying to keep a light on so the chickens could keep laying eggs, to utility scale projects where you're staring at a spreadsheet, and my job was to try to pitch it to a bunch of people in a boardroom. And it lost a lot of its heart over time for me. I lost a lot of my interest. Yeah, like when you start staring at numbers and that's what it's all about, it just didn't feel right. So to be able to come up with something like GoSun, where you're dealing with direct consumers and you're cooking food and providing an entire outdoor kitchen, it just brings the heart back into it, and it allowed me to jump off the solar coaster, which was always so dependent on state-based incentives and government leadership and supply chain issues, but to go out and to create my own products and our own brand has really been super fulfilling, and it allows me to keep the solar in it, keep the heart in it, and really grow my addiction.
The heart, yeah. That reminded me what I wanted to go back into earlier was about working with the people. I wanted to hear you talk about that more. I feel like we went a few different directions and wanted to hear more about your experience with the land you're living on and the different, how it's like right next to where your office is, so like you can just like walk to where he's working, and his employees basically are coming to his house, and you have all these like solar oven cooker things everywhere, and yeah, tell us a bit more about that. Like a little homestead, basically.
What was it? The number one rule in permaculture design was proximity. So you want to, the things that are close to you get attention. And so I wanted, I'm falling asleep. The business is on my pillow every night. I can't get rid of it. I'm thinking about it 24/7. So I can get up at any point and go and work on an invention. I've got a whole shop space where we can get pretty dangerous with wood and metal. We taught ourselves how to weld and then we've got like plastic. We've got 3D printing and some injection molding machines, molding equipment. Paint.
Whoa, you make shit moldy? Like, is that like a fungal thing?
Yeah, and then we got the Arduinos.
Molding's
Raspberry
like
Pis.
the thing
Oh,
that
really?
makes like the trim
What are you
work
doing
or
with
something.
those?
Yeah, we got a sweet little like electronics lab now where we can build our own circuitry. And man,
So you have like software?
full on hardware
Is
and
there like a
software.
GoSun app that you
And
get
firmware.
for like running these little devices, like your little cooler?
We have an app, but we're not really trying to be too tech forward. We're trying to
Can you
make our
get
products
this
work
podcast
without
like on the road with like a little van set up? Like, can you set people up with things like that? Tell me about that.
Yeah, mainly what we do with our electronics is, if you don't know about Arduino or Raspberry Pi, you got to check it out. This is freeware. This is like software.
I know about Raspberry Pi, but like,
No, it's crazy.
It's
No,
really-
it's
like
never
is that
been
like some kind of
in the
device?
regular public, these things,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
nuts.
You can go to like Micro Center, or it's kind of like the modern Radio Shack, and you can pick up, or even on Amazon, you can pick up a computer for $15 and then have all these sensory inputs go in and all these outputs go out. Figure out, and you can build your own drone or remote
Kids
control car,
done with them,
sensors for your garden to make sure you don't have the water.
You think I could do that?
It's actually not hard at all. And the coding side of it is built to be as foolproof as possible. So you can download the software for free, and you can borrow software from anyone who's already developed it, and just add your inputs. You don't have to write code.
You just
But-
like type words in, like I
Yeah.
think this should be more
Raspberry
bubbly
Pi.
or something, and
It
then all of a
is.
sudden it becomes more bubbly.
You'd be surprised, I think, if you want to go at this with OSA.
It's a kid's.
It's kid-friendly.
It's a kid's platform. I mean,
Yeah.
they put it in
It's like the
education in some
Legos
places,
of
just not here in
2020s.
America for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right, and even a lot of schools haven't picked it up yet. Where like
Oh.
coding's actually really looking to be very important for future generations. I think we know that technology's here to stay, like it or not, and you might as well start working with it to support the life you want to build.
I know it's like here to stay for a while, but like biologically, like speaking, like over the long term, like 200 million years from now, biology will be here, but most of the modern circuitry and like infrastructure of AIs and things like that might not be anymore. Even
Yeah,
if it
that's a
goes to other
great
planets,
question.
it'll eventually like become finite to a point where it'll be a while until those components get put back together by some sort of biological creature.
Super hard to know. I certainly agree with a lot of the stuff we're making is going to be compost. in the
But
future.
they've taken core samples from deep in the ocean where there are bacteria that when brought to the surface, they're 100 million years old, I think is what it was. And they start replicating, they come back to life. I mean, there's not like anything freaky, they're known species of bacteria, it's just like something that's 100 million years old.
The
Like,
DNA's there.
that life is like still like just holding on, like just dormant for like that long. And robotic things, even if they go Terminator world and like they're destroying everything, eventually just trying to harvest every bit of the earth. Eventually they're just going to run out of battery materials or all these different resources, like to make solar panels and all the different things. Eventually, like, they won't be able to self-replicate themselves in that way. They won't have the minerals and nutrients to like replicate in that way, and eventually they'll fizzle out. And they most likely won't evolve unless another biological creature evolves again.
Yeah, and there's a question of like
Such a structure of things.
these cyborg bioelectric organisms. You know, I think we're getting closer and closer to
I
that.
might put my brain in one of those just for fun, see what happens.
A buddy of mine's dad just
It'd
got
be like a little tube, like a ghost.
wires put into his cranium that are helping to prevent strokes. So it's like a little battery pack, and you know, if it senses not a stroke, but a seizure, and if it's sensing something coming about, it'll throw off some random pattern to break the cycle of the seizure. That happened just this past week. You got that installed.
Like, would that happen if you had like a seizure salad? Like a seizure? No, I'm sorry, I had to. Like, you know, right. I have empathy too.
But you know, it's like medical marijuana does the similar things, and you know, it's like that was so bad for a long people. You may not have thought medical marijuana was a bad thing, or you know, but a lot of people did. And if you think that you know putting electrodes in your brain is bad, you know, you're on just the other side of that argument.
I know like a guy that used to have like a dog that had a shock collar, and we would take turns putting it on, and like we would, you know, I didn't let anybody else have the controller, but I would like shock it just to like see what it felt like. And it was actually like it felt really good on your neck, like if you had the right spots.
Nice, warmed you up. Huh?
Yeah. I like worked the shoulders out a little bit.
Little tins machine.
Do a few more cartwheels.
Yeah, electricity is phenomenal stuff. I love playing around with it, and there's so much you can do with it. There's so much level of control you can get. I can't quite figure out this microphone, but I can figure it out.
I know. There's one funny like time where my son, he went and put his hands onto one of those solar-powered electric fences for cows and goats and whatnot, and he had asked me if he could, and I said he could. 'Cause, I mean, I knew he was curious and he was going to do it at some point, so I wanted to witness it, right? And after he did it, he like looked kind of jolted, you know, and looked at me, and he was kind of like upset.
Yeah,
I was
it'll
like,
toss
"What's
you.
up, man? Did it hurt?" And he's like, "No, I was just disappointed. I thought I was going to see my bones." I'm like, "What?" Like, it's like what happens in a cartoon or something you must have seen, and it was just like, or like a game, you know, that like, there's your X-ray.
What an adventure. That's great.
Yeah, those solar-powered fences are pretty amazing. When I had it, it said it could do up to 5 miles of fence.
I know. And it's just a pulse, so, you know, you don't have to keep it powered all the time, you know.
Could you take one of those things and like solar punk it into something else and like have it charge up something else, like an attack drone like that, you know, you have set up on your door that like hovers out when the Amazon guy gets there or something, and if like it's not the Amazon guy, it like makes like projectile darts or something.
Definitely. You know, the speed
All solar powered.
is, yeah, I think you're onto something. However, I did look up, like at one time I did a big study.
Check our shop
I forget
coming
where we
soon.
were in college. I was trying to study like how much energy could you harvest out of a lightning bolt, and because you know it's like,
Ben Franklin, I see it now.
and I ran all these calcs and you know looked at the voltage spread, and it was all about, you know, time. Like there's just no time in a lightning bolt, and just like with your electric fence, you know, you just don't have enough to work with. Power is one thing, but power is a measurement of instantaneous work being done. Energy is different because it's power over a period of time. And that's how the utility companies charge us, you know, kilowatt hours. And you might be able to make a little bit of power, but making energy. So a kilowatt hour here in Cincinnati is coming at us at about 10 cents. And you would have to
Dang,
ride.
that's only like $0.1 of a dollar. I could buy like 10 of them.
You'd have to ride a stationary
Come on,
bike
I'll sell them somebody else for
for
like 8.
something like 10 hours of riding in a stationary bike and running a little generator into a battery before you make 1 kilowatt hour. And we're complaining about energy prices. Well,
That's an interesting way of saying
you know, we're
They-
so
they
far
should-
from,
they
we're
should
so
hook
drunk.
all- They should hook all those things up because people they pay money to go and like sit on those things and like pedal them, you know, as opposed to like doing it outside or walking or climbing on something. And you'll just like sit on a bike and like in this little room and you're pedaling. It's like that could be making kilowatt hours, like you're saying. You could be like you could be. What would those should be called like live-a-watt.
There you go.
It's like you're making live-a-watts that you can kilowatt later.
I love that. I like your hopes day dreaming, and then I love feeding 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah, man, live a watt. I like it.
Three
You're onto
birds,
something.
dude. Why not?
You know, because I always wondered about that, like the people-powered idea, the people-powered products, or like seeing where, that radio, for instance, you can get one online. It cranks.
Yeah.
And it has a light on it, and it has a radio.
Great invention.
And it goes like this. You do it for what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? That thing will play
All day.
no light for quite long enough. So I mean, a live-a-watt hour.
Yes.
Yeah, make you a live-a-watt.
Nice. Yeah, I've always wanted to do more like conversions with respect to energy. You know, the energy footprint is, I think, a good thing for us to try to wrap our heads around. We always hear about carbon footprint, but it's fairly obscure. Energy is something we all could understand and use because every one of our appliances has like a wattage reading on the back, and then I want to convert an understanding of that into how much energy is stored in food, like pizza, and then how much energy is stored in a hazelnut.
Live-a-watts.
Yeah. And the more you could understand your energy footprint and be able to control your energy diet, I think the longer and healthier you're going to be, just like people do with their nutritional diets and such. But again, in America, it's relatively.
Sometimes not always. Like I've been thinking about this. It's not always how long you live, like measured in years, but how much you live. Like,
Amen.
They say people are living longer than ever before. Sometimes, I wonder if we're just like dying slower. And there's this like slower like part like where that happens, like where people just like don't do anything, they just don't feel motivated, they're not creating, they're just kind of in this mode of like wake up, go to this, go to that, go to bed. And adding some more of that whimsical living, that like zest for it can, maybe you don't live as many number of years or something, but hey, sometimes
Yeah,
that's
man.
you're living good.
It's not the amount of years; it's the amount of life in the years.
It's the quality of the moment.
Yeah, man. Oh, love it. And if I've had my moments, and if I could do it over again, that's all I'd have. It's just moments and moments like this.
Yeah, it's good to share them and like develop them and grow and see the connections between all of it. I mean, I think some of that stuff you were saying about like that software integration into nature, I think I have read some quotes from Abraham Lincoln about that actually.
You just made me think of Abraham Lincoln with your quote. I mean, he literally has the quote of all quotes. I'll butcher it, but it was like, it's not about how many years of life that you live, it's about how much life you put into the years. That's him.
20 years ago,
The guy had some vision.
I
how you're
had
shaving
4
your face.
fathers.
I never noticed that's how you're shaving your
Never
face.
knew which one was actually him, but I shaved my beard just like how he would shape it.
Yeah, I was just listening to a little podcast about boy Abraham, and essentially they were saying how he took on several occasions, he really followed what he knew in his heart of hearts to be right. And I was just equating it to thinking about the era that we living in and how we behave. And with climate change,
what are we doing? What's implied on us? You know, and what happens, like for me as a business owner who, you know, you could cash out of the business and, you know, go buy a big money and yacht or something, or you could do what's right by carrying the business forward and trying to make the biggest impact and converting as many people to the good ship, the good fight. And you know, to me, it's a moral. There's a moral imperative here for me, you know, to try to do what's right and to carry an optimistic future forward with solar.
Speaking of the morality, you know, like I know a big thing with the solar industry. A lot of times people think of the solar panels, the batteries, all that goes into it. What I hear sometimes now too is like the surge of need for lithiums and cobalt mines being opened up in the earth to create these. Is there what do you feel goes in like I love how the solar ovens, they don't need any of that, but moving into having 12-volt systems and battery powered, you know, chargeable freezers and things of that nature. How do you see the future of that looking?
Well, lithium's gotten off to a big bang. You know, it's gotten off to a big start, but at the same time, there hasn't been a lot of recycling, and that's coming. I know Tesla's been a huge leader there, and from what I understand, there is an incredible amount of lithium to be mined. You know, pretty well globally. Obviously, most of it exists in Bolivia, but that it's, you know, decently sustainable practice. And I know there's a fair amount of energy that goes into that, into assembling an electric vehicle.
I always hear that the energy going into, there's like hours of truck time harvesting things with like diesel engines burning and to get the lithium so that a car can be charged for a certain period of time. That
I heard this. You hear the same thing on the solar space, and you do have to question where the information's coming from, because the powers that be, you know, those embedded in the fossil fuel paradigm want you to believe that you're making a big mistake and that it's a worse system. And it's ironic that those folks were actually access the concept of total product life cycle cost, you know, or energy returned over energy invested. Ultimately, you know, there's energy that's involved in building an electric vehicle, no question, in the vehicle's life, just similar to like a solar system, and they aren't the same, but the vehicle's going to offset way more carbon in its life when compared to a vehicle that would run on fuel. And your house is going to offset way more carbon running on the solar system when compared to being fueled by the grid that's fossil fuel. And you know, as we electrify our roadways and we solarize our grid, we're moving more and more towards that net zero, more carbon neutral society that we really need to get towards. Smart energy use is a huge part of that, you know, modernization of the grid and building isolated grids. But I think the interesting piece about it that you know, that the people that are kind of bashing it don't really see is a piece around resilience and independence. Because it's like, I had a lot of people that are like, you're never going to get me to drive an electric car because they identify so much with their big truck. And in reality, you're like, well, so, you know, you have an oil well in your backyard and you have a refinery back there? That's impressive.
My car runs off of old chicken.
Well, okay, so the biodiesel thing was pretty cool, you know, but the energy return on that is, turns out if you can put a solar array up and run your electric vehicle off it, you're getting as close to the right energy return over energy investment as you could ever.
So like what do you think though, like 300 years from now, maybe like people won't need to like move around so fast, or maybe there'll be like jetpacks or other ways to move around faster that are more efficient than cars even to make. Maybe we'll be able to like figure out a way to like grow trees into like some kind of forms that make the casing for the product instead of some plastic things, you know, you can, I don't know, there's so many things maybe in the future, right? Yeah, we need to move around fast right now. People will be like, I need to get down to Austin, Texas tomorrow. You're like, okay, and they can do it fairly easily. We get to just jump into our little chariot, fire up all the horses, you know, like hundreds of them out there, just like ready to tug and pull you as fast as you want to step on their little feeding tube. And then you just fly down the road there, and the next thing you know, you can just pop in, boom. You're like listening to your favorite orchestra. You don't want to hear that anymore. Boom. You're listening to your favorite band that's playing like through your like little device. It's like you can select it. You can pick out which one you want. You don't have to listen to the other thing. And then you can even pick out this podcast and hang out in this room with us and be listening to this. You can be shouting out the window, like having your own part of the conversation, having a good time. You know, maybe you're just like blasting along there and just having a great time in this chariot.
That's so good, man.
And you're just like, man, how come I'm like, do I have enough? Do I have enough?
Yeah. Right, and you can still be upset like you don't, right? Man, the Wi-Fi's not working. This is crap.
I need to pay for my house next week.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting question in a more philosophical way. Maybe the solar punk community's asking, you know, where is the devil? Is the devil in this fossil fuel? You know, is that where is that what they didn't want us to have? Is that what God was afraid of us to have? Was the power of God to be able to fly anywhere?
I think God can do more than that, but that's like another topic. It makes me start thinking about sod again. You know, sod's like just like that thin layer of grass that you can use a little machine to cut and like roll it, and you can take it somewhere else and people put up their nice little cute suburban house and it's all destroyed by bulldozers and rubble, and then they sweep it or blow it a little bit, and then they just lay the sod there on top of it. And then back down in the floodplains, the rivers come up and put new silt there, and then they reseed. The seed comes up through under the ground and makes a new layer of sod.
I believe in sod.
Yeah, but
I have no questions about sod.
But I don't know. I think the cutting and scraping and moving around, like it would be a great material for using for roofing. It's a great solar powered like machine there. It's just growing. It's alive. It's creating insulation. Keeps dry if you lay it just like a roof panel, little squares, like rectangular sections, like layered.
I bet our ancestors were doing that in a big way up in you know, Ireland and Wales and whatnot.
Your ancestors were Wales?
I bet they were laying sod on their roofs. You know what I mean? They had
You with what? The land?
Laying sod on their roofs.
Yeah.
You know, and
with like clover in it and stuff. And you could just pick those little flowers. They're really good, like blood cleaning or herb. You eat them, so like that's something you can hear more about in the coming days. There'll be a really good TikTok. We'll just be talking about ticks. And, you know, we'll explore that more. But like having blood cleaning herbs protects you from bloodborne illnesses. So like even if you are like picking ticks off or something, you know, you can like keep your blood clean and you'll be alright. So like that's the adaptive, like fun, exciting part about, you know, being in the present moment as the seasons keep changing and changing and changing. And I'm glad the sun keeps coming out. It's like been one of the most reliable things in my life. There's been a lot of things in my life that like you think you can rely on, but then they don't like turn out so great. But you know, just finding those nature patterns that you can really rely on, like the sun, the moon, the stars, the way they move. But yeah, it's fascinating to think at any moment that could just like change too. GoSun for a long time. May your great grandchildren still use the original oven that you have.
yeah, thank you, brother.
Alright, let's give it up for Patrick Sherwin. You can tell that when he looked at the sun that one time, there was a Sherwin coming there. It's a good one, the Earth is grateful to have this here. So, thanks for coming to the show tonight. It's been really fun. Glad to see that these people in the balcony over here are still alive and smiling. They got strange sunglasses on now though. So who knows what's going on up there. And these people back here, they've been using the food service all night. I can't believe that. I hope you guys got to try some of the food here, the gomi berries, the hazelnuts, and had a good time, and get a cup of water or something, make sure you're hydrated before you go home. Before you're done listening to the show, you wrap up your little jog in the park or whatever. I hope it came through clear and sound into your little earbud, and after you're done, take it out, go and listen to some nature and do a jog sometime where you just hear the little sweet love songs of the birds and hear their poetry of the winter and have a good time. Thank y'all. I love it.
Actually funny.
Yeah, thanks for coming and enjoying another episode, Wake the Farm Up. If you're interested in coming and seeing it, we'll be down there recording again here soon. Get in touch, let me know. Lab Cita. Thanks to Stefin again for all the amazing sound work. If you want to be on this show or have this show come to your town, give me a direct link as well. I'd love to talk with you. And, of course, if you know anybody that wants to help fund this show and help it do things, or if you got an idea of where you want the show to go, we can talk. All right, we love the support everybody's given us. It's amazing watching this show grow. Look forward to next time. Your host, Andy the Elf.